And welcome to the NFL Today on YouTube. JB along with Coach Nate and Matt Ryan as we get set to talk about a couple of games in particular. But Bill, can we just put the headline on this? You say December football should be up under what heading?
I say embracing high-pressure opportunities, and I say that from the standpoint, JB, of just we know who we are. Some of these games, there's narratives that are out there about us, whether we can score enough points to win this type of game, whether we can finish this thing, or are we for real playing against good football teams. So, it's the pressure that goes along with it. You know who you are. You know the path you have to take. And to me, going out there right now and proving it and having fun doing it is what it's all about. And I think we saw some teams do that today.
Let's talk about Pittsburgh and Cincinnati.
Well, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, I think we all said Cincinnati can score 30 points, and they're going to, but can Pittsburgh play that same game? They did. They did. They went toe-to-toe with them. Russell Wilson opened it up, throwing the football, running the football. Again, they continue to take the football away. They don't turn it over. And I think that's been the formula that's got them to this point.
And speaking of not turning it over, I know that sometimes Russell Wilson can be very careful with the ball. Early on in the season, there were some questions about this offense. Will they be able to put enough points up? Well, they did. They put up 44 points, and Russ was cooking. I know it's a team effort, offense, defense, and special teams in order to get the ball back in his hands. But early on, he throws this interception, right? It could have been a PI, but I'm a receiver, so I'm biased. But anyways, you move on, okay? At this point, do you become gun-shy, or do you let it rip? Go right back to your guy. Pickett gets it for the screenplay. He gets in the end zone. And then this is where Russ really starts to catch his rhythm. And once you see that ball floating over the top of the defense, you know he's comfortable because he has confidence throwing that deep shot. And this was vintage Russ right here. Stepping up in the pocket, sliding right, hitting his tight end right up the seam on the money, gives him the ability to turn upfield and score a touchdown. Just check him out. 29 of 38, 414, 3 touchdowns. I don't mind the interception. For me, that really wasn't his fault, but I just like the fact that Russ is letting it rip now, and we're starting to see Russ really digging his bag. I think we all forgot because of what happened in Denver and how ugly that was, whether it was Sean Payton or Russ or just that not mixing like oil and water. But I just feel like right now Russ is finally starting to get comfortable in an offense that really works for him. We forget, yes, he's playing for a Super Bowl. Hell yeah, he wants to win. He's also playing for a new contract. Yeah. Russ wants to keep playing in this league.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the interception. I got no problem with it either. That's the cost of doing business in this league. If you're going to play quarterback, you're going to throw the ball 40 times in a game. There's going to be opportunities for them to make a play on the ball. So I really, have no issue with that. We talk about the Steelers right now and what's their ceiling. Well, I think Mike Tomlin making that switch midway through the season understood that their ceiling with Justin Fields as a quarterback was maybe here. And the way Russell Wilson is playing now, like you mentioned, the stats that he had today, but 10 different guys getting touches in the passing game, the number of different guys that they can do it with. They also have the Ravens number. So you start to look at the ceiling and who they're going to play.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, as we go into the playoffs, who they're going to play in these different situations. They understand how to beat the Baltimore Ravens, possessing the football, playing a short possession game, which they did the last time they did it, taking the ball out of Derrick Henry's hands, right? Time of possession. I think all those things are important. The one thing I think that you could pick at the Pittsburgh Steelers right now and look at them and say, maybe this is not as strong as it needs to be, is pass protection. Yeah. I think their offensive line running the football, very good. Pass protection may be the one area where you can get after them. But you look at them on the defensive side of the ball. They can get off the field on third down. They can rush the passer. You've got Watt. You've got Herbig playing right now. Cam Hayward in the middle. Linebackers playing at a good level. Good secondary. They're solid all over. Mike Tomlin has this team playing their best football at the most important time of the year.
One of the most impressive records in all of football, sitting at 83. But we talked about this in the pregame show. They got a gauntlet coming up. Yeah. All right? So the Cleveland Browns. It's division. I don't care what the Cleveland Browns record is.
Cleveland Browns may have their numbers.
That's what I'm saying. Jameis can beat anybody. Shout out to Jameis Winston. And then they go on the road, Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens. And then they come back and they play Kansas City and the Bengals at the end of the season. It's going to say a lot about who they are. But you know what? I've been saying that every single week, and they have been stepping up and answering that question. Nate, we know who we are. We are a team that goes out there and we play any style of football. Put points on the board or beat you on the ground with 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Iron sharpens iron, and I think there's a lot of way they prepare, and that's how they prepare. They go against each other one-on-one. That's how they practice in the preseason. That's who Mike is. He wants his team to be tough. Give us the toughest schedule at the end of the day, because you know what? The playoffs, it'll be no different. Because we're going to sit there and just face the same type of teams we just faced. And the one thing I will say about this team, they can play any little game you want to play. You want to open it up and go points to points? Okay, we just showed we can do that. You want to play bully ball? We can play bully ball too. And you know one thing we won't do? They're not turning it over and they're taking the ball away. We want to rush a quarterback? We can rush a quarterback. Oh, you want to run up the middle? Yeah, Kim Hayward said, no, not here. Okay, not here, not now. So they have a lot. There's not many holes at this. And they may have the best kicker in football. When it comes down to football in December, special teams, being able to finish drives, being able to finish games. That's what situational football is, and they are very, very strong at all those areas.
What do they have that only one other team in that AFC wild card or the AFC playoff picture has? A championship coach and a championship quarterback that have done it.
Yeah.
That matters when you get to this time of the year. The Kansas City Chiefs have that.
Yeah.
You look at the Buffalo Bills. They haven't done that yet, right?
Yeah.
You look at the Baltimore Ravens. Quarterback hasn't done it yet. You look in the wild card picture. Those guys have not done it. Both these guys in Pittsburgh knows what it takes this time of the year to get the job done.
And I'm going to tell you the narrative that's in Pittsburgh, and this is great. But when the playoffs start, that's when they're going to define the rest of this season. They know it in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But you know what? You just wait. Don't worry about looking at the finish line. You just take this thing one step at a time.
Yeah.
And everything else will take care of
And
itself.
last thing, I still feel like we haven't seen the complete Justin Fields package yet. I think
Came up big on that third down at the end of the game.
It's a little sample size.
Before we move and talk about the Minnesota-Arizona game, let's talk about a winning culture in Pittsburgh. Appropriate for you, Bill, to talk about this. We look at the consecutive non-losing seasons of which you are a part of. Talk about that and the excellence in that culture, but what's most important for the population there?
It starts at the top. It's the Rooney family. I think they've shown it time and time again. There's no panic. They don't read the headlines. There's no need to overreact to a lot of things. It's sometimes you're tweaking, you're retooling, but you're not starting over. And I think that's the biggest thing going in there, that there's going to be collaboration in that building, there's going to be transparency in that building, and there's going to be accountability in that building. And sometimes that leads to making tough decisions. And that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are all about. Holding people accountable, collaborating, making sure we're very transparent in everything that we do. But at the bottom line, we make decisions, we make it as one. And that may not mean we all agree with it, but we understand it. And I think that you can put your ego aside when you walk in there. It's a selfless place, not a selfish place.
You know what, Bill? And so many organizations, so many businesses can certainly look to the template there. 3 coaches in 52 years or so. And the fact that I go back, I know I've said this before, when Chuck Noll was hired, that first season, he was 1 and whatever the record was at that time. The press was on the Rooneys. Are you going to fire this guy? He didn't get it done. And the Rooneys looked the press people in the eye and said, we have exactly the right guy for it. So they knew and they know how to select.
And they selected young coaches. Chuck Noll was 36, I was 34, and Mike was 34 when we first got our first jobs as head coaches. So
They got a type.
You know, they
You say, Nate?
As we say in Dayton, they got a type.
So and it's that way, and they allow you to grow within that system. Not that you're not going to fall, not that you're not going to stumble along the way, and maybe get caught up in the emotions of the moment in terms of what the moves are that are made. But it makes you look at the big picture. It makes you look at yourself in the mirror. It makes you grow. There's growth and development that takes place in that building, whether it's a coach, whether it's a player, whether it's an administrator. That's what that building is about. It's about growth. It's about development. It's about making sure that you leave there a better person than when you came.